Most of us grew up believing that regular checkups and health screenings are always a smart move. That if you catch something early, you can save yourself trouble down the road. And in many ways, that's true. Early detection has saved lives. But here's the part we rarely hear. After a certain age, some of these routine tests can actually do more harm than good. Not because doctors are trying to hurt anyone, but because the body changes as we get older, and the medical system hasn't fully caught up with that reality. This video is not about telling you to ignore your health. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about helping you protect your health by making smart, informed choices. Because sometimes the strongest decision you can make is to say, not this test. Not right now. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about 5 common medical tests that seniors often go through, tests that sound helpful, but can quietly lead to harm. I'll explain what the risks are, why these tests are still pushed, and what better options you may have instead. My goal is to give you clear, honest information, no fear, no pressure, just the facts, shared in a way that makes sense for you. Before we start, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Just drop your state or city in the comments below. And if you have any natural health tips of your own, feel free to share those too. Someone else might really benefit from hearing what's worked for you. Number 1, the colonoscopy trap. Now let's talk about colonoscopies. For many years, this test has been praised as one of the best ways to prevent colon cancer. And for folks in their 50s or 60s, that's often true. If caught early, colon cancer can be treated. But after 70, especially if you're not having any symptoms, this test may not be as helpful as you think. In fact, it could put your health at risk without giving much benefit in return. The first issue is the prep. Before a colonoscopy, you have to drink strong laxatives to clean out your system. For a younger person, it's unpleasant. But for an older adult, it can be downright dangerous. That bowel cleanse pulls water from your body fast. It can leave you dehydrated, weak, and confused, especially if you're already on other medications or living with conditions like high blood pressure or kidney issues. Some people even end up falling in the bathroom or being hospitalized from the side effects of just the prep alone. Then comes the procedure itself. A colonoscopy isn't a small thing. You're given sedatives, and a long tube with a camera is inserted deep into your intestines. The sedatives can linger longer in older adults, leading to grogginess, memory issues, and a higher risk of falls, especially if you live alone or don't have support right after. There's also the small but real chance of things like bleeding or a tear in the colon, which could mean emergency surgery. But here's what's most frustrating. Many times, these tests find small polyps, little bumps in the colon that are common with age and usually harmless. But once they're found, the system kicks into gear. More scopes, more biopsies, even surgeries, all in the name of prevention. Yet these polyps often take 10 to 15 years to turn into anything serious, if they ever do at all. So if you're in your late 70s or 80s, there's a good chance those polyps wouldn't have caused you any harm in your lifetime. I'll tell you about George, 82 years old, healthy, walking daily, sharp as ever. His doctor pushed for a routine colonoscopy even though George wasn't having any stomach problems. During the prep, he got severely dehydrated. After the procedure, he felt dizzy and fell at home. That same night, he broke his hip, went to rehab, and spent months recovering. And guess what? The colonoscopy didn't find a single thing wrong. George's story isn't rare. And this isn't about blaming anyone, doctors mean well. But as we age, we have to look at the whole picture. If you've had normal colonoscopies in the past and you're feeling fine, you can absolutely talk to your doctor about skipping the next one. There are newer options, like stool tests you can do at home. Much safer. Much easier. Number 2, the full body scan mistake. Now let's talk about full body scans, those fancy machines that promise to look through every inch of your body and find anything that might be wrong. Sounds smart, right? Like a quick way to stay one step ahead of illness. But for older adults, especially over 70, these scans are often more trouble than they're worth. Here's the thing most people don't realize: full body scans don't just find serious issues. They also pick up every little bump, shadow, and spot in your body, including harmless things that were never going to hurt you. But once something shows up, no matter how small, the medical system can't leave it alone. Suddenly you're being sent to specialists, getting biopsies, having more tests, and sometimes even surgery, all for something that might never have caused a single symptom. They call these incidental findings. And in many cases, they're just age-related changes, like a tiny nodule on your lung or a cyst on your kidney. These things are incredibly common in older adults, and they're usually not dangerous. But the word lesion or spot on a report can feel terrifying. It sets off fear, which leads to more tests, which brings more risk. Let me tell you about Betty, a bright, 78-year-old woman I met at a senior health talk. She walked every morning, played cards with friends, and had never had any major health problems. One day at a health fair, they were offering discounted full-body scans. She thought, why not? Better to be safe. The scan found a tiny abnormality on her kidney, something that wasn't bothering her and probably never would have. But hearing the word lesion scared her. Within a few weeks, she was in surgery. The recovery was rough. She had complications. Her energy never came back the same. And in the end, that little lesion? It wasn't cancer. It wasn't even dangerous. She often says she wishes someone had told her the risks before she went in. There's also the cost. These scans usually aren't covered by insurance unless there's a specific reason. So many seniors end up paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars out of pocket, thinking they're buying peace of mind. But what they're really buying is a ticket into the system. A system that doesn't always know when to stop testing. And the emotional toll can't be ignored either. It's hard enough managing everyday aches, prescriptions, and appointments. Add the stress of chasing tiny maybes on a scan, and it can steal your peace of mind. Instead of enjoying your health, you're worrying about what might be. Now, this isn't to say scans are always bad. If you have symptoms, pain, weight loss, something new, that's a different story. But getting a full body scan just to see after 70? That's a decision that deserves a second thought. Number 3, the cardiac stress test concern. Let's talk now about the cardiac stress test, you know, the treadmill test where they hook you up to wires and monitor your heart while you walk faster and faster. It's been around for years. And many doctors still recommend it, especially for older adults. The idea is simple: push the heart a bit and see how it reacts. But the truth is, after age 70, this test can become more confusing than helpful, and in many cases, downright risky. Here's why: as we age, our bodies naturally change. Arteries stiffen a bit. Heart rhythms shift slightly. Recovery from exercise slows down. These are normal parts of getting older, not signs of disease. But the stress test doesn't always understand the difference. It picks up these age-related changes and sometimes treats them like warning signs, even if you and #39 feeling completely fine. What happens then? You get flagged for a possible issue. That leads to a referral to a heart specialist. Then more tests, like an angiogram, or even a stent placement, for a blockage that might not have caused you any problems at all. You started with a treadmill test, and before you know it, you're recovering from a procedure you may have never needed. And those procedures aren't light. For older adults, things like catheterizations and stent insertions carry serious risks: bleeding, kidney damage from the contrast dye, reactions to anesthesia, and infections. And if you're already managing other health issues, your body may not bounce back as quickly. Take George, a 74-year-old man who felt great. No chest pain, no shortness of breath, just a routine doctor's visit. His doctor said, "Let's just do a stress test, to be safe." That one test turned into 3 weeks of appointments. Then a stent. Then complications. Then rehab. His health and energy were never the same again. And all of it started with a test that didn't need to happen. Many respected heart doctors now say the same thing: if you and #39 not having symptoms like chest pain, shortness of breath, or unusual fatigue, routine stress tests often do more harm than good. They don't reduce heart attacks. They don't lower death rates. What they often do is open the door to unnecessary procedures. So what should you do instead? Pay attention to your body. If you feel changes, you get winded easily, you feel tightness in your chest, or you're more tired than usual, absolutely talk to your doctor. But if you're feeling steady, walking around, sleeping well, and living your life, that's a strong sign your heart is holding up just fine. After 70, healthcare should be about preserving your independence, not adding more wires, more worry, or more hospital visits unless there's a clear reason. You don't have to chase every test just because it's available. You have the right to ask, will this change anything important in my care, or will it just lead to more testing? Number 4, the repeated colonoscopy risk. Now I know we already talked about colonoscopies earlier, but this point goes deeper. Because what's happening now is that many seniors, even those who've already had clean results in the past, are being told to get colonoscopies again, just to be safe. And that, just to be safe mindset? It's quietly hurting a lot of older adults. Here's the part that often gets missed. Colonoscopies are designed to catch slow-growing polyps. Ones that might, over the course of 10 to 15 years, turn into cancer. That's a long timeline. So, if you're already in your mid or late 70s, and especially if you've had clean colonoscopies before, the chances of those polyps growing into something dangerous during your lifetime are actually very low. But the risks of the procedure itself? Those go up with age. Let's start with the sedation. Older bodies process medication more slowly. So what used to wear off quickly in your 50s or 60s might now leave you feeling groggy, confused, or off for days, even weeks. There's something called postoperative cognitive dysfunction, where people experience memory issues or brain fog after anesthesia. It's real. And it's far more common in seniors. Then there's the bowel prep. You've probably experienced it, drinking that awful solution to flush your system. It's not just uncomfortable. It can throw off your electrolytes, dehydrate you, and even trigger falls. Many older adults feel weak or dizzy during the process. Some have accidents in the bathroom. And if you live alone or don't have help nearby, the risks multiply. Let me tell you about Eileen, a 78-year-old retired school teacher. She had a clean colonoscopy at 68, and again at 73. But her doctor suggested a third one at 78, just to be thorough. She agreed. During the procedure, her colon was accidentally perforated, a rare but very serious complication. She ended up needing emergency surgery, spent nearly a month in the hospital, and never fully recovered her energy or independence. Her daughter later said, "We thought we were being careful, we had no idea it could go so wrong." That story sticks with me. Because it's not about saying no to every test. It's about knowing when the test stops being helpful and starts being risky. Eileen had already done what she needed to do earlier in life. She had clean screenings. She didn't have any symptoms. That third colonoscopy, it didn't help her. It harmed her. So here's something to think about. If your last colonoscopy was clear, and you and #39, not experiencing any new digestive symptoms, like blood in your stool, major changes in bathroom habits, or unexplained weight loss, you can talk to your doctor about stopping routine colonoscopies. That's not giving up. That's being smart. Number 5, when heart tests do more harm than good. Let's go back to something we all worry about, the heart. Heart disease feels like one of those things that could sneak up on you at any moment. You hear stories all the time, someone looked healthy, then suddenly had a heart attack. That kind of fear makes it easy to say yes when a doctor suggests a test, just to make sure everything's okay. But here's what you need to know. Especially if you're over 70 and not having any symptoms, some of these heart tests are not only unnecessary, they can be harmful. One of the most common is the cardiac stress test. This is the treadmill or chemical test that checks how your heart handles activity. The idea is, if your heart is under stress, the test will catch signs of blocked arteries or other problems. But in seniors, the test often picks up changes that are perfectly normal for your age, things like mild stiffness, small shifts in rhythm, or slight plaque buildup that's been sitting there quietly for years. What happens next? That suspicious result leads to more tests, a scan, maybe a catheterization. Sometimes, they find something minor and decide to place a stent or do a procedure anyway, even if it wasn't causing you any symptoms at all. And now, suddenly, you and #39, on blood thinners. You're at risk for bleeding. You're recovering from a procedure. You're back and forth to the hospital. And none of it was needed. Let me share Harold's story. He's 76, a grandfather from Illinois. He felt great. No chest pain, no shortness of breath, just his regular yearly checkup. His doctor said, "Let's do a stress test, just to be sure." The test showed a mild abnormality. That led to a catheterization. They found a little plaque, nothing serious, but they put in a stent anyway. A few days later, he had a complication from the blood thinners and ended up in the hospital with internal bleeding. He spent months recovering. And for what? He never had symptoms to begin with. This isn't to scare you, it's to remind you that you have a choice. Many top heart doctors now recommend against routine stress tests in people over 70 who don't have any heart-related symptoms. Why? Because the tests haven't been shown to prevent heart attacks or save lives in people without symptoms. What they do often cause is worry, procedures, and side effects. Now, if you're feeling changes, like you get winded walking across the room, or feel pressure In your chest, or your heartbeat feels off, absolutely speak up. That's when a test makes sense. But if you're feeling strong, sleeping well, and moving through your day without trouble, your heart may already be doing just fine. Your goal isn't just to live longer. It's to live better. Protect your independence. Stay out of the hospital. Avoid procedures that won't actually help you feel better or live longer. That's real care. That's wisdom. At this stage in life, you don't need to chase every what if. You need to protect your time, your energy, and your peace. And sometimes, the best way to do that is by saying no to a test that doesn't serve you. By now, you've heard some things that might go against everything you were taught about staying healthy. And that's okay. It's natural to feel surprised, maybe even a little unsure. But the truth is, growing older doesn't mean you stop caring about your health, it means you start caring differently. You start asking harder questions. You stop rushing into every test just because it's available. And you begin to choose what actually supports your life, not just your chart. So next time someone suggests a scan or test that feels unnecessary, remember what you've learned here. Ask questions. Trust your instincts. And most of all, choose care that gives back to you, not care that pulls you deeper into a system of fear and overtreatment. If this video gave you a new way of thinking about your health, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What was the most surprising thing you learned today? What will you do differently? Leave a comment below. Your story might help someone else just like you. And if you found this helpful, consider sharing it with a friend, or subscribing so you don't miss the next one. We're here to give you information that respects your age, your experience, and your future. Thank you for spending this time with us. Stay strong, stay wise, and most of all, stay in charge of your own health.